Hey folks, Joe here. Today's video is just going to be some experimentation and playing around. In a discussion thread on the slinging.org forum, link will be in the description, a concept for a pretty unusual grip came up. And what it reminded me of was a reverse grip, or what's sometimes called an ice pick grip. Now that grip, if you're unfamiliar with it, usually refers to a knife or even a sword. And what it means is the blade is held out on the pinky side rather than forward on the thumb. Now if we modify that to a sling, this would be my normal hold. The loop on 2 fingers, and then the thumb and index finger holds the release knot. But for the reverse grip, it's going to come down the other way. And then the release cord is going to go through my entire hand, and I'll hold it like that. So in a sense, we have a reverse grip for a sling. Let's do some experiments and see how it works. Today we're playing with ice. First up is just going to be some target shooting. That loading took probably about 3 times before I got used to loading with that grip like that. The release feels very delayed, which kind of makes sense because the angle is going to be shorter, or rather further back than a normal release with the sling. So I kind of need to get my head to not worry about it and just feel the weight of the ice for my release rather than trying to release when I think is correct. I'm going to try to get a different angle of what this throw looks like, get more of a side view. for some fun, we're going to do some distance throws. I'm going to do a measure. All right, the very corner of the yard up there, you can see it because it's a little dark spot, is 201 feet from where I'm going to throw. I think I can get him out of the yard, but let's do it. That one was probably my best throw so far, and it broke in half in the air. I got like 3 or 4 left. Just for a comparison, I'm going to throw those normal. Definitely a power difference. Okay guys, just a little wrap up here. A couple things. Like I'd mentioned, the load of the sling I got pretty quick with. Put in, I remembered to grab it with that reverse hand and pull it down to where I was gripping the knot. But one thing with throwing this style that I'm noticing is the sling has a tendency to twist up after every throw. So when I was loading it, I had to make sure that I undid that twist in the line. Otherwise, it would have just kept twisting more and more. Also, with that load, because it's kind of pulling from the inside and the cords get twisted up, they're more likely to kind of get a little knot going in them. And so a couple times I had to stop to get that undone. We saw from the distance slinging, and I also just felt it in the target slinging. I think there's a decrease in power with the reverse grip. I think it's coming from a couple things. One is just from the nature of that grip, the arm can't be fully extended, so it's kind of shortening your radius length as you're coming around. And also on that is at the end of the throw, kind of the little crack of the wrist when you're doing a normal sling throw. Throwing like this, you completely lose that. And that's also something that I could feel, especially in the target slinging. I didn't have that last little just kind of crack at the end of it. And third thing I noticed on the distance slinging, I think in the release of this, it's putting a forward spin on the projectile when it's released. I'm not certain about that, but they seem to go up and want to dip back down real quick. With my normal throw, they just kind of soar into the air, but with that reverse grip throw, they'd hit their peak and then it almost seemed that they were trying to come back down to the ground. That may have just been from the lesser power though, and they just weren't getting the height. But either way, I think that grip does work. I don't really see any advantage to it over a normal sling throwing style where it's held forward. But I will play with it a little bit more and see if there might be an advantage to it. Cheers.